All right, people, here it is, the quadratic formula. Now, let's discuss when we use the quadratic formula. So, we use the quadratic formula on two occasions. Well, really one. When we cannot factor, all right? When we cannot factor, we use a quadratic formula. Its job is to give you x-intercepts. All right, and then after you've got the x-intercepts, you're off on your way to go find your vertex and life is good. So sometimes we can't factor. And so far we've had these like lovely little equations that we can factor. But what if you get something like this? What if you get like x squared minus 2x minus 5? You can't factor that. There is nothing that multiplies to negative 5 and adds to negative 2, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have x-intercepts. It does. They're just ugly. They're at some horrible decimal that we can't find from factoring. So this is when we use the quadratic formula. Now, you do not need to memorize the quadratic formula. However, you do need to be able to use it. The quadratic formula only works when x squared, when ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And remember, this is like where y was, right? Y is 0 when looking for x-intercepts, right? We replace the y with a 0 when we're looking for x-intercepts. So if that is the case, then you take your standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, and we are going to put that into this formula. This formula will give us x-intercepts. It looks like this. Negative b, now this part's tricky, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now let's discuss. This negative b means negative b. So whatever the b value is, you're going to take the negative. So if b is negative 2, it becomes positive 2. This plus or minus is going to do something crazy. At the very end of solving this, we're going to split it in half, and we're going to add part of it, and then we're going to subtract. It's going to be wild. This 4ac, you can almost envision this with brackets around it, right? And when letters are written right next to each other, that means multiply. So 4 times a times c. Down here, the 2a, of course, is also multiplication. So you're going to multiply 2 times a, and then we're dividing the whole thing. So let's see what this looks like. Let's do an example. Let's say we've got y equals, let's say 2x squared minus 3x minus 7. Okay, so remember we said ax squared plus bx plus c is our formula. So if we do that, then that means my a is 2, the b is negative 3, don't lose your 3, and your c is negative 7. So we are going to come up here and we are going to replace all of that. Like our c is going to be the negative 7. Our b is going to be the negative 3, and our a is going to be 2. So the first thing we do is plug all this in. So x equals negative b. Well, negative 3 plus and minus the square root of b squared, negative 3 squared, minus bracket 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 7, divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Order of operations is really important here. So I'm going to do a few steps all kind of at the beginning. We can't do any adding and subtracting at first. So I'm going to kind of go take care of all the multiplying. So I'm going to take care of this multiplying here. I'm going to make this a positive 3. I'm also going to come in here and I'm going to go ahead and square this. I need to do things in the brackets, or in the square root, and that acts like a bracket. Also going to come in here, I'm going to do all this multiplying, and then down here, I'm going to do all that multiplying too. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of that kind of all at once. You must write down your steps. This is way too much to do in your head. So negative 3 is 3. Plus and minus the square root. Negative 3 squared is 9. Minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times negative 7 is negative 54. Now, this is subtraction. Just because there's brackets here doesn't mean you're multiplying that. This is subtraction. Don't let that get you. Let's deal with the green in the bottom. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, your next step, we've got to deal with the square root. Because remember, order of operations says get mass. All right, so we need to deal with the groups first. That means I'm going to take care of everything in the square root. So 3 plus or minus 9 minus negative, so this is positive. So 9 plus 54. 9 plus 54 is 63. So the square root of 63 divided by 4. I have still not dealt with the square root, so I cannot do anything further yet. I need to take the square root of 63, and the square root of 63 is 7.9. All right, so now I have 3 plus or minus 7.9 divided by 4. Here's where it gets crazy. All right, so our final step, see, there's nothing else to do. Like now I can do my adding and subtracting because I've dealt with my groups, I've done all my multiplication, I dealt with the exponents. So we are going to now split this into 2. And one of them is going to be the addition, and the other one is going to be subtraction. So what that looks like, is 3 plus 7.9 divided by 4, and 3 minus 7.9 divided by 4. So let's do this side first. 3 plus 7.9 is 10.9 divided by 4. And over here, 3 minus 7.9 is minus 4.9 divided by 4. Okay, and negative 4.9 divided by 4, I put that in my calculator, and I get negative 1.225. And then on this side, I'm going to say 10.9 divided by 4, and that's going to be, 2.725. So these, my friends, remember at the very beginning of this, we said this equals x. These equal your x-intercepts. So your 2x-intercepts are right here. These are going to be your x-intercepts. So you're going to have an x-intercept of 2.70 and negative 1.20. From there, you can find your axis of symmetry. You add them together, divide by 2, and that gives you your y, and then you plug that, whatever you get there, right back in for your vertex. Okay? So, again, you don't have to memorize this formula. I will always give you this formula. It's on the wall. But you do need to be able to use it. So don't forget to flip the sign on that because it's negative. You're going to square this. you multiply the whole 4 times a times c. And then once you have all that done, we divide it in 2. And we're going to add and we're going to subtract. So that gives us 2 equations. And your division is your very last step. Okay, I would like you to try a couple of problems. I would like you to try to find for me the x-intercepts. Find the x-intercepts for y equals 3x squared minus 2x minus 6. Okay, here's your first problem. And then I would like for you to find the vertex for y equals -2 x squared plus 3x plus 4. Okay, so that means if you're looking for the vertex, you have to find the x-intercepts first. Then you're going to add them together to find the axis of symmetry, and then you plug them back in to find the rest of your vertex. So you have 2 jobs. Good luck.